Hello and welcome to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast. I am Craig Forrestall. I am That Sports Guy. Go ahead and find me on Twitter at that_sports_guy, where you can find all of my latest football takes. Also, NFLDraftDiamonds.com is proud to feature the That Sports Guy podcast on its website. Stop by NFLDraftDiamonds.com, your official draft coverage king. Hello and welcome to another player profile interview. I am Craig Forrestall, also known as That Sports Guy on Twitter. Go ahead and find me. But the main focus today is Kayode Awosika, and my apologies. We've gone over it a million times. But go ahead and correct me and introduce yourself.
Kayode Awosika, play for Buffalo, offensive tackle.
And Kayode, you said that you're the offensive tackle at Buffalo, but we have to know, growing up in Minnesota, what is it like, and which has the worst winter?
Honestly, it is colder in Minnesota, but it's heavier snow here. They say there's a lake effect thing that goes on here in Buffalo, and I believe it because in Minnesota it's not as heavy as snow, but it's definitely colder in Minnesota.
And now, aside from the battle of the winters, what was it like growing up in Plymouth? Were you kind of a competitive kid, always involved in sports? What was it like?
Yeah, I definitely was. You know, my older brother brought me into sports with basketball, being as the first one. He played basketball in high school. He actually didn't play football. Me and my younger brother are the only two that played football in high school, and I'm the only one that went to play on in college, continue to play in college. So, yeah, I was a competitive kid. I loved sports, loved competition with my brothers, and just loved football and basketball in general.
So now, how did Buffalo woo you? How did they get you to leave Minnesota and go so far away from home? Because you had some offers with schools closer to Minnesota.
Yeah, honestly, it was really the genuineness of the coaching staff there. You know, they come from a D3 school of Whitewater, Wisconsin. Most of the coaches on the coaching staff now, and really the genuineness showed through in their recruiting process with them and them introducing and meeting my family. And it just sold it really for home because I really wanted to trust people and trust the people I was going to play for. And I just really liked Buffalo and liked the area and was really comfortable with the decision for me and my family.
And now you talked about the recruiting process and how you felt like it was a family and how it was home. The coaching staff has also brought in a couple of other talented players. Maybe if you could just take us through what it's like going up against such a talented defensive end duo in Malcolm Kuntz and Taylor Riggins in practice, and what that does for you and the rest of the O-line as far as preparation.
Oh, it's great. You know, those guys are great players. They're closest friends kind of on the team right now, too. You know, Taylor Riggins, I work out with him every day throughout this pandemic. And Malcolm Kuntz, you know, he was back at home, but, you know, he stayed on FaceTime and stayed in contact as we're going through this process. So it's great, the fact that we can challenge each other. We can always communicate on wins and losses between each other and what got us and what didn't, and just really improve every day of practice so we can get better because, you know, there's better competition out there always. So definitely got to keep going hard in practice.
And what is the mentality of your offensive line this season? You're coming off of a record-breaking performance last year. So how do you top that?
I really think you just take it step by step and day by day. You know, that record wasn't really broken in season. It was broken during the preparation for it and the summer workouts and everything we did conditioning-wise for, you know, when we run tempos or stuff like that. And the O-line really, you know, trusting the process and trusting our strength coach, Coach Sleeve, to, you know, get us to a point of strength and conditioning. So it's really nothing that we say we want to break a number this year. It's really we just take it day by day and just try and go as hard as we can for as long as we can in the workouts and everything we do so that it shows out in the games.
Now, you brought up the strength and conditioning program, and I have to ask because I saw a video that you did for the Buffalo football program where they followed you around campus for the day, and you made a stop early on in the morning, and it was called the fueling station. So maybe if you could just take us through, you know, what that is for some of the listeners that haven't seen that video and the importance of that fueling station for the players.
Well, our strength coach has done a great job, Coach Sleeve, Matt Gildersleeve. He really got that fueling station for us last year, which just has a bunch of breakfast items and a bunch of nutrition and stuff that we can get, vitamins at any time, just anything from fish oil to, you know, boiled eggs. Like you can get it in there and really have fuel for the day throughout your classes. And we all had it set up so right before practice, you go in there, you take your weight, and then you go and eat. And right after, you can after practice, you can get a quick snack before you head to class, or you go stop at lunch that we have for just the athletes. So the fueling station is really nice, and we're blessed to have it. And our program is going to definitely benefit as we had it last year and this year and so forever on.
Absolutely. And I want to go back as you were talking a little bit about the training that you've been doing this off season, getting ready for the upcoming season with a couple of the guys on the team. But what has been your main focus? If there's been one area where you've really been trying to improve upon for this season, what has it been?
Really quickness and foot speed. Uh, that's one of the main focuses. That along with hip strength and mobility. I've honestly been targeting a lot of areas, but if I had to pick one, it'd really be the quickness of the feet. I feel like you can always be faster, and being faster just helps you be more reactive, and that always helps in situations and anything you're doing as an offensive lineman. So, guys like Taylor Riggins come out with me to the field and just do get offs just to get me faster and faster at the right and left side. So, yeah, it's definitely beneficial.
And now you mentioned on the right and left side. Most of your works come on the right side so far at Buffalo. Any chance that you swing over there to the left side for your senior season?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. I've been working on it. Did a lot of it in spring ball. We got 2 weeks of it, spring ball in before COVID hit. So I've been played a lot of left for the spring and worked on in January, and so I'm prepared to play either side. And I feel like that was beneficial for me, just to get my left side down so that it wasn't completely foreign to me as I played right for the last 2 years. So it's definitely something I've been working on. Definitely something we'll see as we go to fall camp, and spot is not given to anyone; it's earned. So we'll see where we end up. But
Definitely. Now, you're talking about how every spot is earned, and you've put together a lot of strong performances in your career at Buffalo, and that's earned you some accolades within the MAC. And now there's some talk about you outside of the MAC, and even being one of the best run blockers in the country from the right tackle position. When you start hearing your name with things along those lines, what does it do for you, and how do you stay focused when you start hearing things like that?
for me personally, I try not to buy too much into any type of media or attention things because um, at the end of the day, it's what you put on film and what you do. So anyone can go up and anyone can go down. So you really got to block all that out and just commit to grinding every single day because you never know anything that's going to happen. And with media, like anything, anybody can say a certain thing or see a certain thing or perceive certain things some way. So uh, I try not to buy too much into it. It's obviously great to see your name out there for anything positive, but it's really notice it for 5 seconds and then move on and focus on the things you got to get better at.
How does your approach change based on whether or not you have a speed guy or a power guy lined up across from you?
It really depends on the film. I'm a big film watcher, so if he's a quick guy, it depends on what type of quick things he likes to do. And you really our position coach is really big on task oriented things. So like you don't change yourself to players. You take account for how they play and their style, but you don't change yourself, and you do the set perfectly and the technique perfectly, and you do the task, and then the result at the end of the day is the outcome of doing that task. So as long as you worry about yourself first and what you have to do, then the block will happen how it's supposed to.
And now we've been talking about the upcoming season. What would the ideal senior year look like for you um, as a team and then also individually?
MAC championship. We've been chasing a MAC championship at Buffalo for since I've been here. In our first year, we were 2-10. It was a rough first year for everyone in my class, and we really attacked the culture as a team and really wanted to turn things around. And we've gotten to a point where we created success, and we got to the MAC championship and lost it by a point. So we were hungry to get it last year, and we came up short, but we won the first bowl game in program history, and now we have our eyes on nothing else besides MAC championship. Even individually, any individual thing that I could be chasing, as long as I stay focused on the goal of the MAC championship, those things will come in by itself. So really, it's just personally and team wise, as a leader on the team, it's really just about the MAC championship.
And then, Coyote, what players do you really watch and do you try to model your game after?
I watch a lot of Tyrone Smith. He's a big, long guy, but it's really his technique is so sound and so perfect in the things he likes to do. I like to watch what he does and how he approaches certain people and different defensive ends, which is strong, bigger defensive ends are quick, outside linebacker, edge rushers. So I watch a lot of Tyron Smith, and besides NFL, I watch a lot of other college guys as well. I'm a big college football guy before NFL football guy person as far as film. So I'm always watching to see what other guys are doing and how success they have in games and mistakes they make. So
Absolutely. So a true student, always looking and always breaking down the film. Now, we've talked a good amount about football, and if you'll be a good sport, I just want to pivot to something completely opposite of football. And I want to ask you a couple of questions to get to know you off the field. So I'm going to put you on the spot right now. What's that song that you're embarrassed to admit that you like?
a song that I'm embarrassed to admit that I like. Honestly, in high school, I was in the choir a little bit, so I can get with some church choir music that can be in my in my liking. I'm not good with song titles, but things of that nature I tend to like.
All right. And now, what would be the dream car?
Grand Cherokee, all white with black rims.
All right. So you've been thinking about that. Any reason that specific car?
I think I was just young and I saw a Grand Cherokee, and ever since I was like 7 or 8, I've just always wanted one. And so right now, that's the dream to get one. It's not a super like Lamborghini, but like that is my dream car, and it always has been.
Awesome. That's super cool. And then, what's the most memorable or interesting class that you've taken as a student at Buffalo?
Um, I'd say that would be organizational behavior. And when I'm in the business school, I'm a finance and marketing major, dual concentration. But organizational behavior was a very structured class with Jim Lemoyne, and he was my one of my best teachers so far by far. I learned a lot about business ethics and about things in businesses that and how they're ran, and it was very intriguing personally for me because my interest in business and then just the way that he ran the class. I mean, he was a radio call announcer before he was a professor, and so he always started the class with a certain way and did things that were personas to him. So it was a great
You
class.
make me want to take a trip up there to Buffalo and just register for the class. Just take it, even pass failed. Now, if I am up there taking that class, where am I going to eat? What is that restaurant? Where do I need to eat? Somewhere by campus.
By campus, the hottest spot is probably Kyoto. It's about 8 minutes from on campus where I live in South Lake Village, and you got your hibachi steak, hibachi filet mignon, cook in front of you style restaurant. So that's the first stop I would say, and then later stop maybe you go to Texas Day Brazil, a little on the high end for an event or something like that by the mall, and you got any type of meat you want as cooked as you want, just all you can eat, and it's a great meal. I went there for a birthday, and yeah.
So I know I got to bring you along with me. You got all the spots nailed down. And now let's go ahead and let's talk about if you won $1 million and you could only donate it to one cause or one charity, what would it be?
If I could donate to one cause, I would donate that cause to mental health. I think that the concept of struggling with mental health or not being able to, think differently than others think, and you struggle with that, and you're always carrying weight on your shoulders for certain people. I think that is something I would get into as well as, you know, because my dad works and he was a manager of a mental health care facility. So I've seen the patients he's had as he's worked with people, and I've been around it since I was younger. And he started a business doing that and taking care of patients, and I think that that's big, and that's one of the first stops I would hit.
Absolutely, and I don't think I could have said it any better myself for people that are affected by some sort of mental ailment. Now, before we get out of here, what is it that you are going to leave the listeners with? What is that one thing we need to be on the lookout for with the Buffalo program this year?
Look out for us to win the MAC championship. Putting in work every day through this pandemic, and we're continuing to put in work now. So we're dedicated to get it this year, and that's what we're going to try and do.
You heard it here first, MAC championship. For Kayode Awosika, I am Craig Forrestall. We are out. Until next time, stay safe and be easy.
Hey everybody, Craig Forstall. Thanks for tuning in and listening to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at that_sports_guy to catch all the latest updates and podcast episodes. Until next time, stay safe and be easy.